Here we are, back. G'day everyone, Crypto Trader Vader here, and I'm back. I took a week off last week and I didn't make any videos. I apologize for that. I was doing some polyphasic sleep experiment and got very sleep deprived and was very demotivated amongst other things. Eventually I've stopped that. And now I'm a little bit sick, so I apologize for that as well if I'm sniffling through this video, but I wanted to get on here and do this Poloniex trading journal because I didn't want to miss another week of it. So this week I'm back to regular videos. Thursdays I do these Poloniex trading journals, and on Fridays I do update on my journey from 0.2 Bitcoin to 1 Bitcoin if you want to check those other videos out. Anyway, here we go with the Poloniex markets. What I do is go through all of the different coins listed on the left hand side here. If you want to scrub through the video, you can jump to whatever coin you like or want to see the analysis on. I really do feel like the cryptocurrencies are at the stage where they're starting to bottom out. They're starting to get to a point where we're going to be noticing these turnaround patterns. Other people that I follow have, similar opinions. And I'm starting to see these things in the chart patterns as well. So starting off with ADA, we can see a almost a double bottom forming here, which is interesting. 2 weeks ago now, on the 9th of March, I said just watch on this one. So it's no different really. I mean, we could start to see a very small 1, 2, 3 bottom forming here, which is that mark there, and it is starting to breach that 2 level, so there could possibly be an entry point right about now. We can use the EMAs to help us get a confirmation on these things, and let's make that line a little bit thicker there. And they're not starting to cross over just yet, but they are getting to that point, so it might be worthwhile watching that one. Looks probably could possibly turn around and head higher. However, we need to, of course, have it kind of confirm this breakout here. So it's broken above this mini 1, 2, 3 bottom, and it's come crashing back down, but it's still resting on this level. So really what I want to see is a green candle turning around and going upwards, and if we can kind of see a breach of this level here, 3600 or so, we might be looking for a bit of a bull market. Greater than 3600 sats equals bull run. Just move my keyboard over here. And by the way, if there's any coins you want me to check out, let me know in the chat or in a comment, and I'll jump on there and take a look. Bitcoin Cash. So back 2 weeks ago, I said I was bearish until next week. That was on the 9th of March, right around here. Definitely wrong on that one. Looks started to turn around, and similar to what we're seeing in a lot of altcoins, we're seeing this 1, 2, 3 bottom forming. We really need to see a breach above this line. It did do a fake out breakout there, but that's one candle either way, but it is starting to get squeezed into this upward bullish signal, bullish flag. That's something good. Really what we need, if we can get a solid green candle above 0.12 Bitcoin, we're probably looking at something bearish again. Equals bull run. Oops, I'm a little rusty on this. Here we go to black coin now. You can see previously where I've marked out this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, did breach above this 2 line, came back down, rested on it, and then eventually broke through lower, and has been going lower since. Yeah, it's not looking super great, although we are getting, you know, these 1, 2, 3 bottom forming in black coin as well. That's a tough one. Yeah, I might just put a watch on that and see what happens with it. Bit shares. Here we go. This is a bit more solid, so very, very small 1, 2, 3 bottom as well. Seems that the momentum is a lot slower with this one compared to some of the other ones. Really, we can take this and we can look at this and say, well, maybe the 3's not over. Maybe it's still going to come back down to kind of this level. Maybe around here or something like that, where the price will bounce off of. And then, of course, what we need is for a breach above this level here, about 1600 sats or so. I'll put that in there. Clam. Last 2 weeks ago, I said bearish until 4300. That was on the 9th. That was here. It was a 4900. It did come down to 40. And now it's sitting around 44. This clam coin I did pick up a little bit right around this level, and so I'm hoping it continues in the upward direction. We can kind of see a mini 1, 2, 3 bottom forming, potentially another one here. I'll just draw this out here so y'all can see it. So if the price starts to turn around at this point and we have a breach of this line around 47k sats, then we'd be looking for another bull move for clams, which would be great. 47k sats equals bull run. But again, it does depend on this market turning around. It's starting to show signals that it is, but really, you know, we need to see some confirmation on that before I jump in anyway. And here's another example. Civic, a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It has breached that line. This might be a buy signal here because it is on its second green candle, although it's risen quite fast, encountered some resistance, and has come back down. It might be a point to buy it now. 3,000 sats. I'm going to put a star next to that one because I think I might get some of that. 1, 2, 3 bottom. It's breached this 2 line. It's come back down to rest on it. These are exactly the sort of signals that I want. We ideally would want this blue line to cross over this purple line, just because I've got these EMAs set at 20 and 60. And you know, if that kind of crosses it, that's what we'd call a confirmation. So we'd have, you know, an extra signal in addition to what we're already seeing in the charts, to signal to me to make a buy on it. That does look good. Let me just decide on whether this is what. I think it'll probably go short term up. Of course, I've been wrong many times, and probably be wrong many more times. This is why it's important to plan, you know. This is why it's important to have in place a trading plan that makes sure that you minimize the amount of losses you sustain. And we're on Dash coin now. Now I put a short on Dash right around, I think this level. This box probably marks where I shorted it. And I bought back probably around about here. Dash, I'm not bullish on, although it does look to be turning around. That is kind of slowing down. See this kind of upside down bowl forming. So it might be looking to go down. And of course, when things go down, they go down usually a bit faster than they went up. Probably short-term bearish on that one. Decred. What do we got here? Some support along this line here and has broken beneath it. Probably going to be going down. I'll put here till next week. You know what? I'll write the whole word. Fuck it. Bearish until next week. Dogecoin. Now, for those of you who've been following my videos for a while, you know that I'm bearish on Doge because, I mean, I say this pretty much every video, but just historically you can see that usually it comes down to quite low levels. Although if you go back here to this 2015 May bubble ending, or crash we'll call it, for Doge, that only hit around 38 sats. So we might be at those levels again. It might be starting to turn around. I'm just going to be hanging on and waiting for some confirmation on that, because right now we're still seeing this 1, 2, 3 top forming where it's not kind of, so it's 1 is there, 2 is there, and then the market price tries to get back up to these levels and ultimately fail and fall down. So if we have a breach beneath 39 sats, we're probably going to be heading lower. Less than 39 sats equals bear move, and that'll probably happen relatively quickly. Moving on to Ethereum. You can see here I've marked out a little mini 1, 2, 3 bottom forming here, and of course that was way wrong. So we did have a breach above this 2 line. Actually, we didn't really. We did. 1, 2, 3, and then ultimately falling down, crashing. A nice correction for Ethereum. You know, it wants to get back to these levels, but it just didn't quite make it. And ultimately it'll probably be in a period of consolidation before it starts to lift off. Unless, of course, this is large. This is I should change back to 4 hour. As I was saying, unless this is, you know, part of a larger 1, 2, 3 bottom forming, in which case we could be seeing a resurgence of Ethereum. 1, 2, 3. If it starts to turn around and then head upwards and breach above this 2 line, but probably don't see that happening anytime soon. It's probably going to take a long time before that happens. The market will slowly start to turn around. Is my prediction on that, but yeah, not too sure on Ethereum. I think I might just tell myself to watch that one. Okay, moving on to Expanse. And Expanse has been heading downwards. Got this kind of this ceiling that it can't seem to break through, so it'll probably no doubt try and breach or touch that ceiling again at some point. But for now, looks to be bearish. Bearish until next week. That sounds good. Factum. Again, we can see I purposely leave these previous markings here because it's important to see where the market gives you these signals, and ultimately the market doesn't act according to those signals all the time. In fact, you know, more often than not, we're going to be wrong, and that's why it's so important to, well, for me anyway, to make sure that I adhere to my stop losses and make sure that I get out of the position if the market hasn't proved me correct, which is a subtle difference from a position where the market has proved you wrong. Not correct and wrong is very different, although similar. So what do we got with Factum? Has broken above this previous support line, which is a good sign. So it'll probably come down, bounce on this line, and then we'll bounce off of it. But you know, it all depends on how hard that bounce is off of it. We now know that we can see there's resistance at this point, which is where the previous support was, and of course we see resistance at this point here where the previous support on it was. So even if it's going up, it's probably going to be encountering resistance right at this mark, and even if it breaches that, it will be encountering resistance again at this mark. So Factum, I'm not too sure about. I'm going to watch that one too. Alrighty, folding coin now. And a little bit of a bull run over the last week or so on folding coin and on a lot of alts, which is exciting because it means that the could be finally turning around. Although I've no doubt said that before and was wrong. So if this is forming part of a larger 1, 2, 3 bottom formation rather, we can see the price probably come back down to this resistance level here, but until it shows us more, I'll have to watch that one, I think. Okay, game now. What have I said? Bearish to 16k, that was on 9th of March, right around here. 17, well, it did come to 16. We're much lower than that, in fact. It's double bottomed out here. It's come back up really strong against this resistance line, but it hasn't been able to break through yet. Every time this red candle appears, more people buy it up. So this is a strong buy signal in my eyes. And you can look at this and you can say, well, this is a 1. This is a 2. And very shallow 3. It's kind of hasn't got very low, but that gives us something positive, because it means that if we can get a green candle to kind of appear or stay in this green box here, we've got a really tight stop loss that we can set right here to minimize any losses that that might be sustained if the market turns around. So it might be a trade to buy in at this point here if we get a confirmation on that. And then where would we want to get out is the question. So we've got resistance here. 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 And of course up here. So it depends on what it's worth, I guess, but might be a trade opportunity to take profits around this point. Or if you're feeling particularly risky up at that point. Now we've had the only thing is though, the resistance is kind of here as well, which makes me think maybe it'd be better to take profits at this point. It'd be a lot shorter and a lot less. But we've still got around 15% there. Let's have a look at what that would give us if we buy here, target there, we stop here. Gives us about a 14-15% possible move there. I'm going to leave that on my screen because I'm going to put a star next to this and watch that one. Game. And put a star in this column here to check that one out later, possibly do a trade on it. Alright, let's move on. GNO. Yes. No, not really. So it's starting to, this kind of downward push is starting to slow. But of course that could mean it's going lower, or it could mean that it's starting to turn around. I'm getting no real strong signals. A very tiny 1, 2, 3 bottom, but only really if you squint there. Need more confirmation on Gnosis before buying into that. GNT, Golem Network Token. 1, 2, 3 bottom forming here. By the way, I'm just going to pull up a MACD indicator. I thought I already had that. I did, but it disappeared. Just so I can view confirmation on that for these two lines to cross over. Also with the EMA as another confirmation tool. But essentially we're getting here a 1, 2, 3. Bottom. Right there. And heavy resistance at this 2 line. We need to see a breach above this. Breach above, say, 29.50, and we've got ourselves a deal. Cool. Let's move on to library credits. Mini 1, 2, 3 bottom. Let's come back down. It's got support here, so it might be a good buy level. However, yeah, need to see the market give us some more confirmation on that. Okay. Moving on to Lisk. Here we go, 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. It's slight, but what I really like about this bottom formation, I'll draw it up in full even though it takes a sec, because it's good to see all the numbers and the indicators clearly on the screen. But what I really like about this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation is this very strong increase in volume at these levels, particularly at the 3. We're also seeing this EMA get very, very close to crossing over. And if we can get a confirmation on that, it might be a good opportunity to buy in. Of course, heavy resistance here, which means that I'd probably want to wait to buy in when I get confirmation at that kind of level. Or if if you're feeling risky, you can kind of buy in as the price gets close to this blue uptrend line, but that's not really my signal. So if we basically, if we can get a push through this, what, 168k level? Greater than 168k sats. And I think we're going to see very similar events happen for a lot of altcoins. Litecoin now. Similar 1, 2, possible 3 forming. But, and back here, leaving this indicator here in place, which is the previous one. Of course, it shot up. But it also looks like a 1, 2, 3 top forming, and then the price coming back down to rest on that before going lower. So I think I'm bearish on Litecoin until next week. Not looking hugely strong. Looking at Navcoin now. Just going to extend this box out here. And that looks like a 1, 2, 3 bottom, 1, 2, 3 possibly there as well. However, we'd need to see confirmation with these EMAs, and we'd need to see possibly a flip of this MACD as well. I'll put a watch on that. Not too sure. OMG. OMG. This is a bit stronger. 1, 2, 3 bottom. This is better if we're looking at the 1, 2, 3 bottoms. I think I'm going to spend some time this week and next week focusing a lot more on these charts, and spending a bit more time doing the active trading, active charting, because I do feel that there's a swing in the market at the moment, and it could be temporary, it could be short-lived, it could obviously crash back down lower, so be prepared and hold on to your hats, but also gut feel says possibly turning around. 1, 2, 3 bottom forming. Really we need to push above this 140k sats level. Okay, moving on to rep. Excuse my sniffles, I'm a little bit sick at the moment. Put a watch on that one, don't know what the hell's going on with that. See a coin. Yes. Kind of some 1, 2, 3 bottoms forming, a breakout above that. Still encountering some heavy resistance at this point. Excuse me, I just need to blow my nose. That's better. So now, see a coin I've had a pretty good history with, because I think I predicted a break below at this point, and it definitely went lower. It can continue to follow this trend line down. It does certainly look like a turnaround, doesn't it? If you squint, you might even see a little head and shoulders there, but just for funsies, let's draw that out. See, when it broke that neckline, once it broke that neckline here, it really smashed up. Would have been a really good buy, an entry point at that point. So they could mark a turnaround for things more permanently, but it could also be very temporary, of course. So we could have this come up and then start coming back down again. I'm just not too confident on calling this a bull run until it kind of stays above 155 sats or so. I'm just glad to see, though, that a lot of these markets are indicating possible ventures upward, even though a lot of them are still lacking the kind of confirmation that I'd want to have some certainty behind these predictions. At least they're starting to give us these indications. You know, whereas the previous push up here, or this push up here, wasn't as strong, this one's a lot stronger. And hopefully the battle of the bear and the bull, the bears will start losing. So what's going to happen with steam? Well, I think we really need a kind of a move above this line, but it's really not a solid 1, 2, 3 bottom formation for me. So that one there will be a watch, I reckon. Storage coin now. Here we go. Here's one that's already given us this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. God damn it, I keep doing that, don't I? Sometimes people ask, do you indicate on the wick or the solid candle, and it's, I guess, a bit of both. Where you can see there's been previous resistance, it's all the grey area really. However, this 1, 2, 3 bottom, you know, I'm using this wick because the price has kind of hit this resistance point, shot a little bit above it. Obviously hasn't gotten to this level here, but ultimately it's broken this 2 mark and come back down to kind of rest on this. Now, for those of you who were around back in November when I was making these videos, you notice this pattern a lot in these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations. It'll break through the 2 point. Sometimes it'll just continue to go skyward and just be like crazy. It'll moon. A lot of people make a lot of money, but a lot of the time, like sometimes that will happen, and other times it'll come up and then back down to where this same level of the 2 was, and then moving upwards. So there are kind of 2 possible scenarios with a bull move, and the latter of those 2, the one where it comes back down to touch on the 2 line, gives us an additional opportunity to get in at that level. However, it also sometimes can break beneath that 2 line and of course continue in the bearish direction. Storage looks good. Probably want to get some confirmation to stay above around 9,700 sats. STR. Big 1, 2. Is this going to be a 3? We need to have a turnaround on Stellar Lumens to really bet on that one. But this is such a high market cap coin. It's heavily traded. It's synced up closely with Ripple, and with a lot of that volume increase as well is a strong indication that, hey, maybe this is the turnaround for Stellar. So that one I will put a note next to, but we'll watch closely. So I've got to keep an eye on Civic, Game, and Stellar at the moment. Moving on to Strat. Another big, strong push recently. This last week's been very good for altcoins compared to Bitcoin. Countering a lot of resistance here. That one is, I don't know what the flip. VTC. Are you guys starting to see this pattern? It's very, very much the same chart pattern appearing multiple times. A lot of them are at this 1, 2, 3 mark where it's right hovering around the 3 and starting to turn around. And if we can get confirmation on that, and we have these EMAs cross over, and we have a breach of this 2 line, and we have a solid couple of candles, then that's a buy signal. So it could be that the market is starting to turn around. Of course, if you just look at maybe something like this, you might see this move here. Oh, look, the market's 1, 2, 3, it's turned around, it's kind of hovering around this 2 line. Oh, it's really turning around right now. But of course, we can see that it didn't, it just continued downward. So even if you have 1,000 confirmations and everything's looking peachy, it doesn't necessarily mean that things are guaranteed. So what's with VTC? Well, we need to get some confirmation above these resistance lines, possibly this one here as well, maybe 28k sats or so. Above 28k sats equals bull move. That would be my best guess. Alright, let's move on to XCP. Similar again. I'm hoping you guys are seeing this because this is it's clear as day to me. Lots of 1, 2, 3 bottoms. Lots of them. 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. Neckline here, or 2 line rather here, right around this area. Need need those green candles and the market to push anywhere above 167k sats or so, and then we can see something juicy happening with the market where it starts to turn around, starts to give us some money again, which is only a matter of time before it does that. What goes down must come up. Again, 1, 2, waiting for this 3 to confirm with Monero. I've been pretty good with Monero. I've seemed to pick the prices pretty well. However, this breach beneath this, longer term trend line has obviously caused it some issues. I'll put a watch on Monero. XPM, getting to the tail end here. If there's any coins you want me to check out, just chuck it in the chat and I'll do it for you. I think they just put Qcoin on Coinigy right here, so if there's any markets you want me to check out on there, let me know. Big 1, 2, 3 bottom forming for XPM, and we have a very strong push upwards. I just think that the value of this is the value of the prime algorithm for mining prime coin is valuable. So I think that, like, mathematically valuable. So long term, it's a positive thing. Really, we need to see a 9, well, really, let's call it 10k sats. And that'll be a strong bull move if that gets above 10k sats and stays there. Moving on to XRP. Still looks like it's heading downward, except that, yeah, it's no good, is it? 1, 2, 3. And this is the resistance point, so really it's breached that. It's come back beneath it. Not looking good for that. Wow. So next support levels, if we're looking horizontally, yeah, no good for Ripple. Probably see it slowing down, probably something like this. Although it could happen a lot sooner, of course. I'm not sure. And finally, Zcash. Oops, let's get out a draw tool. Zcash. Again, 1, 2, 3 bottom forming. Kind of got to squint to see it, but 1, 2, 3. There's a resistance line. It's just breached beneath that now. Really needed to stay above that. That would have been a buy signal there. It would have been a losing trade because he would have had to sell out of it. However, usually I'll set a stop beneath this 3 mark, so it wouldn't be quite out of that trade yet. Zcash. The fact that it has breached it is generally bullish. But because you can see back here it didn't. It's a hard one to say. Probably just watch that, sorry. So that is another Poloniex trading journal. If there's any other coins you want me to check out, leave a comment and I'll hit it up next week. And I'll be back to doing these weekly. So please tune in and smash that like button. Alright, thanks everyone. Cheers.